For years, millions of people thought they knew the real Garth Brooks. They saw the cowboy hat. They heard the unforgettable songs. They watched sold-out stadiums shake with energy. To fans, he was the ultimate country music superstar. But behind that image was a very different story. One filled with heartbreak, painful choices, family tragedy, public failures, and a legal battle that continues to cast a shadow over his legacy. At 64, the man behind the legend has lived a life far more complicated than most people ever imagined. So what really happened to one of America's biggest music icons? Garth Brooks was born Troy Garth Brooks on February 7, 1962, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He grew up in Yukon as the youngest of 6 children. Music was always part of life. His mother, Colleen Carroll, had recorded for Capitol Records and even appeared on television during the 1950s. His father, Troy Raymond Brooks, worked in the oil industry but also taught young Garth his first guitar chords. Family talent nights became a tradition, filling the house with music while his parents passed down 2 very different lessons. His mother encouraged big dreams. His father believed dreams only mattered if you worked harder than everyone else. That balance would shape everything that came later. But would music really become his future? As a teenager, sport seemed far more important than singing. Garth excelled in football, baseball, and track. A scholarship in javelin took him to Oklahoma State University, where life unexpectedly changed direction. While studying advertising, he began performing in local clubs with his roommate, Ty England. Those small performances revealed something special. He had a natural ability to connect with people. The banjo and guitar skills learned around the family kitchen table suddenly had a purpose. He graduated in 1984 with a practical degree, hoping to satisfy his father's wish for a stable career. But another dream kept pulling him toward Nashville. The question was whether Nashville wanted him back. His first trip there in 1985 ended almost before it began. After facing rejection after rejection, he gave up and drove back to Oklahoma just 23 hours later. It was humiliating. Many people would have stopped chasing the dream forever. Instead, Garth married his college sweetheart, Sandy Mao, in 1986 and kept performing wherever he could while waiting for another chance. That chance arrived in 1987 when the couple moved to Nashville for good. Every major record label turned him away. Still, he refused to quit. Then fate stepped in at exactly the right moment. At a songwriter showcase inside Nashville's famous Bluebird Cafe, a Capitol Records executive named Lynn Schultz happened to be sitting in the audience. Ironically, he had come to see another performer who never showed up. Instead, he discovered Garth Brooks. A recording contract followed almost immediately. His debut album arrived in 1989, introducing a fresh mix of traditional country and rock concert energy. Songs like "If Tomorrow Never Comes" quickly climbed the charts. But that success was only the beginning. Nobody could have predicted what happened next. Everything exploded with the release of "No Fences" in 1990. The album stayed at number 1 for 23 weeks and introduced "Friends in Low Places," a song that became one of country music's greatest anthems. Garth transformed concerts into massive events filled with dramatic entrances, wireless microphones, and non-stop movement across the stage. Fans had never seen country music performed like this before. Even controversy seemed to help him. When the video for "The Thunder Rolls" was pulled from country television because of its depiction of domestic violence, public curiosity only grew stronger. Album sales eventually passed 200 million worldwide, making him the best-selling solo artist in American history. Grammys, American Music Awards, and a record 7 Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year awards followed. But while the world celebrated, another part of his life was quietly falling apart. Why didn't anyone notice? Long before the fame, Garth met Sandy Mao in one of the most unusual ways imaginable. They crossed paths at the Tumbleweed Ballroom in Stillwater, Oklahoma, during a fight inside the restroom while Sandy was working security. It was hardly a romantic beginning, yet it started a relationship that changed both of their lives. Sandy believed in Garth before anyone else did. She even contributed creatively, earning songwriting credits on early songs including That Summer. They married in 1986, just before moving to Nashville together. Over the next decade, they welcomed 3 daughters, Taylor, August, and Allie. Garth often called his daughters the greatest achievement of his life. But could fame and family survive together? As his career exploded, he spent nearly 300 days each year on the road. Stadium after stadium. City after city. While fans celebrated every performance, Sandy handled school mornings, doctor's appointments, and sleepless nights almost entirely alone. The distance grew slowly at first, then became impossible to ignore. In the 1993 documentary and later interviews, Sandy explained that the man returning home from tour often felt like a stranger. Every reunion seemed shorter than the last. Every award show pulled him away again. Years later, Garth admitted he never fully understood how lonely those years had been for his wife because he had become completely consumed by the whirlwind of success. Then came the decision neither of them wanted. In November 2000, they filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences after years of growing apart. The divorce became official in December 2001, with Sandy receiving a reported $125 million settlement, one of the largest celebrity divorce agreements of its time. Yet despite the emotional pain, they remained committed parents. They followed an unusual custody schedule, exchanging care of their daughters every single day for more than a decade. It demanded discipline and cooperation, but it gave their children stability during a difficult chapter. Even so, more heartbreak was waiting just around the corner. And this loss would change Garth forever. In 1999, his mother Colleen died from cancer. She had been the first person to nurture his love of music, and losing her left a wound that never truly healed. Just over a year later, Garth stunned the music world by announcing his retirement. He stepped away from touring to become a full-time father. Then another devastating blow arrived when his father passed away in 2010. Within 1 decade, both guiding voices of his childhood were gone. But the story didn't end there. One promise made in his mother's memory soon turned into a painful legal battle. Years earlier, Garth donated $500,000 to a hospital near Yukon, Oklahoma, believing a women's health center would be named after his mother. When that promise was never fulfilled, he filed a lawsuit. In 2012, a jury ruled in his favor, ordering the hospital to return the donation and pay additional damages. For Garth, it wasn't about money. It was about honoring the woman who inspired everything. Then more sadness followed. In 2025, longtime songwriting partner Larry Bastian passed away. Garth described him as both mentor and close friend. Around the same time, another frightening moment tested his family in a different way. Would everyone make it through? During the coronavirus pandemic in 2021, his wife Trisha Yearwood became seriously ill. Garth later admitted he feared losing her. He spoke openly about relying on prayer while waiting for her recovery. Thankfully, she pulled through, and the experience ultimately strengthened their marriage. Years earlier, a massive Oklahoma wildfire had also threatened the family ranch, forcing an emergency evacuation while firefighters battled to save the property. It seemed that whenever one storm passed, another quickly appeared. Then came a controversy nobody expected. Back in 1999, Garth shocked fans by introducing a fictional rock musician named Chris Gaines. Gone was the cowboy hat. In its place came dark hair, a soul patch, and an entirely different musical style. The project was meant to support a movie that was never released. Fans were confused, and the album sold only a fraction of his previous records. Today, the Chris Gaines experiment is rarely discussed. But an even bigger public relations disaster arrived years later, and this one unfolded far from America. In 2014, Garth scheduled 5 concerts at Dublin's Croke Park. More than 400,000 tickets disappeared almost instantly. Then local officials approved only 3 shows. Rather than perform fewer dates, the entire run was cancelled. Hundreds of thousands of disappointed fans were left stunned. For years, it remained one of the biggest disappointments of his career. But sometimes life offers a second chance when you least expect it. In 2022, Dublin approved all 5 concerts. Every ticket sold out again. During the first performance, Garth admitted he had to stop several times because he was overwhelmed with emotion. Fans who had kept their old tickets received priority access, turning years of disappointment into unforgettable memories. It became one of the greatest comeback stories in modern touring. Yet just when everything seemed to be improving, another crisis arrived, one far more serious than cancelled concerts. In late 2024, an anonymous lawsuit was filed involving a former hairstylist and makeup artist who had worked for both Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood. The lawsuit alleged multiple incidents of sexual assault, including claims connected to a hotel stay in 2019. Garth has denied every allegation, calling the claims an attempted extortion effort. The legal fight has become increasingly complicated, with disputes over where the case should be heard and arguments from both sides continuing into 2026. The case remains unresolved. No trial date has been set. No settlement has been announced. It is important to note that this is a civil case, not a criminal one, and Garth continues to maintain his innocence. So how does someone keep performing while facing that kind of public pressure? Part of the answer comes from another relationship that slowly grew over many years. Garth first met Trisha Yearwood in 1987 while both were still married to other people. They became close friends long before romance entered the picture. After both marriages ended, friendship turned into love. Garth proposed on stage at Buck Owens' Crystal Palace, surprising both Trisha and the audience. They married in December 2005 and have remained together ever since. His retirement from music between 2000 and 2005 gave him something he treasures even more than awards. He got to be a full-time father. School runs replaced stadium tours. Packed lunches replaced backstage passes. He has often said those years were among the happiest of his life. Eventually, he returned to performing, launching stadium tours that attracted millions of fans. His Las Vegas residency sold nearly every available seat, and honors like the Kennedy Center recognition and the Gershwin Prize celebrated his lifelong impact on music. Then another historic achievement arrived. In 2026, the Recording Industry Association of America confirmed that Garth had earned a record 10th Diamond certified album, something no other artist has ever achieved. He also returned to the United Kingdom for the first time in nearly 30 years with a headline performance in London's Hyde Park. Despite ongoing legal challenges behind the scenes, fans continue filling stadiums wherever he performs. Away from touring, he also spends time at his Nashville entertainment venue, Friends in Low Places, greeting visitors and supporting local musicians. At 64, Garth Brooks remains one of the most successful entertainers in music history. Yet his story is far from a fairy tale. It is a life shaped by extraordinary success, heartbreaking loss, painful personal sacrifices, public failures, and legal questions that have yet to be answered. Through every setback, one thing has stayed remarkably consistent. He keeps moving forward. From a young boy growing up in Oklahoma to one of the biggest stars the world has ever seen, the journey has never been simple. And with his story still unfolding, the biggest chapter may not have been written yet.